That's why you're so natural. It was like you were just talking to me.
Yeah.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that last part about people being more
Yeah, everybody's putting the goal of the church and, what our vision statement as number one, and everybody on that group. And it was just so wonderful to go from meetings that were very long that we accomplished really literally nothing. Nobody came out of the meeting happy, to meetings where we really made progress to address, either whether it was mission type stuff or finance type stuff or whatever to move the ball forward.
When I came, you were one of those who wanted to have a campaign to pay down the debt, and what made you think that was the right step for McKendree at that time?
Well, to me, since I had joined, the leadership team, which was like in 2019, it was actually, the first meeting I went to was December of 2019, and then starting in 2020, and then, COVID hits, like March or something, and the whole world changes. But having talked with the previous folks, including like Chet on the finance part of the team, we'd always had a small gap where our budget was, we were spending more than we were bringing in, and the people that are finance minded, that kind of bothers you. But Chet did tell me that, things always seem to happen to kind of even it out in the end. So God's work is at play. But when COVID happened, all churches, not only ours, saw a dramatic shift where there were less people who are regularly, the idea of regular attendance changed. It used to be that you were coming 3 times a month, and now it's like regular attendance is maybe 1 time a month or something like that. Obviously, there are people there every single week, but a lot of people come less. Our revenue started to decline significantly at that point in time, and I felt like if we were going to have money to do the things that we want to do as a church, and paying off the mortgage is something we have to do, but not something we want. It's a need, it's not a want. And you really want to get to where you can put more money into the things you want. The only way we could do that is to pay off that mortgage. And my feeling is the only way to get to that without going 10 years or something like that was if we had a program to pay it down and got people who were committed to making things happen, make the mortgage go away. And I mean, there were a lot of times during that process where I thought, we're not gonna be able to do it. But fortunately, there were, some generous folks in the church, and it happened. So.
What's it like living with somebody who's?
Well, appreciate it. I mean, when I was like chairing the ERTC team, I was like, oh, I just get so stressed out getting ready for the meetings because it just takes me hours to get organized or, write in the minutes and everything. And, so I kind of really felt for him, like he's in charge of the whole leadership council. But no, I mean, I think it's great. And, I don't know, I just, how when we first joined, I mean, Steve, you were kind of like, oh, I wish, I would rather somebody ask me to help with something, I mean, because, he did AV at the old church. And Ryan Miller really, in my mind, was the one that really got Steve started, because when he invited you to be part of the finance committee at that time, didn't you?
Yep.
And then, you just, and I mean, you have a lot of good business experience, being a manager, and plus, the stuff just makes sense to you. And, so it's just really kind of neat how that worked out.
Yeah, I would say the one thing that, is enjoyable about coming here, the whole time we've been here, which hasn't been nearly as long as some people, but the clergy has been very approachable. I mean, Ryan was just like extremely approachable. and from our standpoint, it's a big plus, and that's something like if you do go to a really big church, I mean that's just not going to be a realistic outcome of that.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I guess they talk about small groups, but still, yeah.
I
Well, and it's another thing about, and you and Pastor Paula, just paying attention to people that maybe aren't the loudest voice in the room. I mean, both of us are kind of on the quiet side. It's just really nice to have somebody like pay attention and not just kind of ignore you just because maybe you're not,
And I remember when
outgoing.
we were going to Sugarloaf,
Yeah.
and I mean these are the things that shouldn't bother you as a person, but they do, and I mean they bother me sometimes. But there was they lost their they had to let their piano player go because of certain circumstances, and then so Steph was filling in as the piano player.
No, he left.
Yeah, he left.
Yeah,
Okay. And Steph was filling in as the piano player, and the minister was thanking people, and he had no idea who she was, even though she'd done it for every service for a month or
was
whatever.
it a month?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean maybe not quite that long, but yeah,
Okay.
that was. But yeah, sorry.
Well, it was the whole summer that you basically did it.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
I wanted to circle back to the embracing race through change,
Okay. Yeah.
because even though we're not
Through Christ.
Oh,
Embracing race through
embracing
Christ.
Christ, yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
So, but just looking back, I mean, I know we're not doing it the way we were,
Mm-hmm.
but I still feel like there were some really good things.
I love that. I wish, honestly, this is where it would just be so nice if somebody who has, better communication skills than me or whatever, is more comfortable with that, would take it. Because and actually, this United Women in Faith thing that we're, if that takes off, that would be great.
Yeah.
And I'm really glad that Serena is heading that up, because, maybe that is the logical next step for that. But, I just think that that's so important. I mean, and now now it seems like the country's sliding backwards, but we can't. We can't do that. And I guess I was kind of sorry more people weren't involved more, but I like we did a couple of the Black History programs, the Martin Luther King Jr. services, and it was just really, really great. And I guess I've just been interested in that, for a while anyway. And then it's just really nice being able to just get to know people better. And it's still hard to talk about race, but it's just, I really do care about that. And actually, I don't know, this probably going to cut some of this out, but so Kira's already picked her dorm for, anyway, she ended up picking her dorm for next year, and it turns out that she is going to be moving into a dorm that is named, a pair of dorms that's named after these two sisters that were the first to get to live on campus at Purdue. Like they, and Purdue apparently had admitted Black students since maybe they said the early 1900s, so I'm guessing like the 1920s or something. And, but they weren't allowed to live on campus. This was all, just looking up the dorm, and they had this history, and,
You said they weren't even allowed to live in the town. Right?
Yeah, they weren't allowed to live in West Lafayette. Like, redlining, I guess it was not as bad as Jim Crow must have been, but still, they weren't allowed to live. They had basically West Lafayette's on the other side of the Wabash River from Lafayette. They had to live in Lafayette. They had, apparently they had to live in some boarding house. But in general, Black people weren't allowed to live in West Lafayette, and they were allowed to get admitted into Purdue and go to Purdue, but they weren't allowed to live on campus, Mm-hmm. And their father helped get, wrote letters and helped. It sounded like they went for like a year before they got to do this, but before this happened. But he, eventually, I guess he had enough like connections that he actually even had a connection to the governor of Indiana, and then wrote a letter to the governor of Indiana, among other letters. And the governor of Indiana was the one that ended up telling Purdue that they had to integrate, to let them live on campus. And then, there's a video on this website about this, which I was thinking about sending to you and Pastor Paula, or the whole thing. But the relatives of these sisters were talking, and one thing that they said at the end was like, it not only did it benefit them, but it benefited the white people. Because, you know, if you don't know black people, you make these assumptions or maybe you make these assumptions, especially back then. I mean, I think this was in the 40s. And then they get to know black people and it's like, oh, we're all humans, you know.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, you know, and then you learn about different cultures and everything, but I just thought that was a really interesting point to make about it, you know, that it wasn't just that it benefits all of us, you know. So anyway, I just thought that was a really interesting thing. It's such a coincidence that she's going to be, and actually it sounds like that they only renamed these dorms in 2021, so it sounds like maybe it was in reaction to George Floyd, but the dorms are fairly new, you know, they were built in 2015, so it's not. But, you know, I just thought that's very thoughtful of them, you know, wanting to do something, and, you know, they really did a nice job. They have a video of this ceremony they had with the, you know, the president of the university, and I think maybe the governor was there, I'm not sure, but, yeah, and one of them was still living, one of the sisters, so she was there, and then their descendants, and it was just, you know, I mean, I just can't believe the things that black people have to put up with. It's just unbelievable.
Still passionate about this.
I know. I just can't believe it's just crazy.
Yes,
So,
and yeah.
yeah. So
She just doesn't want to lead the.
No.
well,
That's
I just don't
okay.
want to lead it. Yeah.
That's okay.
But,
That's fine.
but actually, like we said, the United Women in Faith, I think that'll be cool. I'm kind of looking forward to that. So hopefully get more people involved in that. Then, you know. So.
Yeah. So, Steve, what's it like to live with someone who's a musician?
It's awesome. I get concerts all the time. I get the playing of music. I mean, when Kara was still at home, you know, tons of music in the house. So it's a huge plus. It's a huge plus.
Yeah, it's really cool that Kira is gotten into music too, and we both really love being part of her musical journey, and that really helped you step up your photography. He became the main photographer for the high school marching band and everything.
Although I will say, he seems to take more pictures of you than anyone else.
Well, maybe I'm just more readily available.
That's funny that you say that because you know, I started taking, like, when she was on a volleyball team, taking pictures, and I had to have an internal counter because I'm posting these pictures, and I mean, I would love to see 99 pictures of my daughter and 1 picture of the rest of the team, but that's not what everybody else wants to see. So you have to have this kind of internal counter to make sure you're somewhat fair.
That was neat. People really appreciate it.
I love the pictures of you. I love all the pictures, but I wanted to. What's the difference between playing as a performance and playing as leading worship, or is there much difference?
Well, I personally am not. I so much prefer accompanying. I mean, I love playing for the accompanying the choir, you know, and I used to do a lot of accompanying musical theater, so I really love that. And I just am not. I don't really like being in front on stage, and then I don't know if I could. And leading worship is, you know, accompanying the choir and everything. But I can't help. I get a little nervous playing, and but you know, when we do the duets, that's fun. I mean, that truly is fun because you're kind of a team, you know, with your partner and everything. But
So I view the choir, I view the orchestra, all are leading worship.
Well, yeah.
I mean, not just the, you know, the one, and I really meant to encompass all of the groups that you're part of.
Sure, yeah. Oh, okay, yeah.
In lots of ways, y'all are leading worship and leading us all in worship.
Yes, yeah. That is different. Yeah, you do really feel like you're there for. It's not about you, you know. it's for God and it's for everyone, and you know, it makes the service and helps make the service enjoyable, and people hopefully wanting to be there. And so yeah. But yeah, I was kind of misunderstanding the question, but
That is a different question.
yeah.
But you do play before the services, and that's lovely. And you play over at the senior center.
Yeah. So it's just nice opportunities, and then being able to serve. Really, I mean, you are serving if you're part of that, and it's nice having ways to serve like that. So I appreciate. Yeah.
Okay. So, what is important to you related to giving? It is a stewardship, and how has your understanding of generosity changed over time?
Well, I think we want our church to thrive, and that takes giving. And I do feel like people should be encouraged to give what they can, and not feel guilty if they can't give, whatever might be expected. I think it's just, but I think people also need to understand that there's a lot that benefits from their giving. I mean, that's just something that it's necessary, and it can really help you feel a part of the church. You have skin in the game, I guess you could say. But our community is valuable. I mean, it's you're not going to find that everywhere you go, and you want to help keep that thriving, and I think that's really important. And maybe that people don't want to lose this, so we want to keep doing what we can.
Yeah, and I also feel like it's a pay it forward situation to a certain extent. I mean, we're so blessed that people have previously paid this forward to where we have this building, and we definitely want to be able to leave something as far as this church goes for the future. There's just one story. When we were in Ohio at the church, we were both on. They were going to do an expansion to the building, and so we ended up on one of the committees or something like that, and I can't even remember what committee it was. But anyway, they had there was this lady that we knew that was in a wheelchair, and she was on a fixed income, and she just gave one of the most moving talks about that when the church wanted, similar to our church here. A sanctuary was built at one point in time, and before that, everybody was meeting in the fellowship hall. The same thing was true at that church at one point in time. She'd been a longtime member and said, when they wanted to build the sanctuary, I was just against it because it was change. Mm-hmm. And she said, but I've seen all the good that has happened because of the sanctuary. And she said, I can't afford to give much to this because I just don't have money. But I will give everything I can, from deeds and whatever to help make the expansion happen. And it was really very touching to see her say that.
Anything that you wanted to say that you thought of beforehand, or that you want to say now? We've already recorded 10 times longer than
I know, but I keep thinking I would hate to have to be the editor of this.
Well, you can get big chunks. I know there's some big chunks of my stuff you can take out. Yeah, no. I don't know. This church is really special. It really is. In today's world, I mean, it's just nice. This church to me is like a beacon. I mean, it really is. It gives people. It should be able to give everyone hope. I mean, people here love people, and caring and serving people is very important. And I just think that is just such a wonderful thing about McKendree.
Yeah,
really.
And I can say that when you come to church on Sunday, my perspective anyway is I can promise that there will be 3 or 4 highs with big smiles on people's faces, and I mean that always, makes you feel better that somebody's saying hi to you and they have a big smile on their face. So it makes you feel welcome and appreciated. So
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Well, you guys made it easy.